From the land of conjurers, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, hauntingly unexplained and downright weird, this is the Witching Hours, and we are ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever and whenever you are listening to this program. I am Jonathan Frost, and joining me, as always, is the medium Jenny Lee. How are you doing, Jenny? And are you ready to get weird?
I'm so excited. Team Weird Takeover is really for real.
Team Weird Takeover
are available right now. Finally. Yes. We've only been talking about it for months.
If you want your tickets, go to the witchinghourspodcast.com, go to the menu screen, go to Team Weird Takeover, and all the information there and tickets are available in two different tickets for you. One is the Team Weird basic ticket, which is going to get you into the event and do all the stuff. It's the only ticket you need.
Plus we feed tacos and pizza.
And we feed some tacos and pizza as well. Yeah. The other ticket option is going to be the merch package ticket, which is going to come with a t-shirt and stickers and some other goodies stuff that's going to come into in a bag for you. Specifically for this event. So I'll be like unique to Team Weird Takeover 2025. And we're super excited and we hope to see so many of you there.
Yeah.
We have we have some guests that were on the Witching Hours. They're going to be coming out there with us for sure. We know that Irene and Danica are going to be there.
Yes, of course. Priestess of Wonderland.
We're going to be doing I think you're going to be doing a channeling session around the old campfire, and we're going to be doing a gallery reading, and we're going to be doing a paranormal investigation. And well, after these last couple of weeks we've been having on the show, we might have to do some wood knocking out there too and see if we hear any howls out there. Because we will be in that. I mean, we're going to be out there. We're going to be out there in West Virginia, so it's going to be a good time. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Keisha, Luce, Jenny, or I can answer those questions for the Team Weird Takeover as we get going through the night. Also, feel free if you have some questions about it to throw in Discord. But we do have an FAQ that we built over on the webpage. So if you go to the Team Weird Takeover on the website, there's a whole Q&A there about the camping aspect of it, hotels, what you need to bring, all those kinds of things. So.
And if you have any other questions that are not on that FAQ, please just reach out to one of us and we can answer them for you.
And we'll have more information as we get closer. We got, June 7th and 8th. So here we go.
Yep. Woohoo! What's the news today?
You ready to get into some news? All right, warning as threat levels for 3 U.S. volcanoes are elevated due to possible eruptions. Scientists are on high alert after threat levels rose for 3 U.S. volcanoes Thursday, suggesting eruptions may be imminent. U.S. Geological Survey placed Alaska's...
Please don't tell me it's one of the frickin' Yosemite. Well, not Yosemite, Yellowstone.
The super volcano in Yellowstone? No. Alaska's Great Sitkin on watch because it's exhibiting heightened or escalating unrest. Lava began erupting slowly in the summit crater on Great Sitkin volcano this week, and small earthquakes were detected over the past days. Mount Spur, located on the Torridillo Mountains, about 80 miles from Anchorage, has also experienced an uptick in seismic activity over the last 10 months. And Hawaii's Kilauea is under watch after erupting earlier this week for its 9th episode of activity since December 23rd. So some activity out there to keep an eye on for these
around there in the Pacific
eruptions. And I didn't, it's just more 2025 right now.
Yeah.
Planes dropping out of the sky, volcanoes erupting. It's been a heck of a start to the year. And now Floridians are complaining about a dense fog that smells funny. Florida has been struck with a phenomenon of dense fog that has what residents have described as a strange odor.
Did they
In
come
social
or
media
did they
posts,
accidentally just come to Hopewell in Virginia?
yeah, in
Not that
social media
anybody
posts.
watching this would know
Well,
about
actually, keep
doors.
that idea in mind. In social media posts on Reddit and X, individuals have called the fog unusual from other fog common in Florida, much more dense and well smelly. The phenomena has, of course, sparked conspiracy theories online in the absence of credible information. Some Redditors have speculated the fog captured chemicals from manufacturing plants in the region,
Mhm.
but there
Yeah.
is no definitive evidence to prove the claim. The federal government is distracted. Obviously, right now there's a lot of stuff going on with a new president in the federal government. Um, I'm not. So we have people on Reddit kind of having ideas of where this could possibly come from. An official with the National Weather Service told US Today that the fog is just that fog, but did not elaborate on the smell that individuals have reported. If you shine, any kind of light in the fog, what you're actually seeing are very, very small water droplets. So that is likely what people are seeing. Fog is commonly produced when dense, warm air from the ocean moves over cold land. Users on Reddit have zeroed in on the let me see if I can get this right. Palatka paper mill
Yep.
located near
Yep, 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 yep,
Jacksonville
yep, yep, yep.
as one possible culprit for the smelly fog, but that remains
Uh-huh.
speculative.
Yep.
We have 2 towns in Virginia that have paper mills.
And when it gets cloudy, there is a discolored, smelly fog.
Yeah. It just the odor is, yeah, it's pretty
But
bad.
wouldn't the people that live there have experienced that already at some point? I'm sure
I
that
don't know,
factory's been there a long time.
maybe it's Florida. They don't have like the winters, like we do, where it gets kind of because the problem is when you get that real heavy cloud cover
Mhm.
in the winter for multiple days, kind of
Yeah.
traps it in. Maybe they're just sunshine
Yeah.
lollipops in Florida, doing bath salts and whatever they do. And then and now they got this issue. I don't know. But hopefully that's solved for them. Hopefully that's solved for them. I'm just kidding, Florida people. We
Ay,
love
ay, ay.
love all our Florida people. Do we have any guests we have from Florida? We got to have some guests we've had on from Florida that we like. Can't think of any right off the top of my head.
I'm just
Paul
laughing.
Giamatti.
Everybody's comments in the chat is just too funny. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Paul Giamatti to play Art Bell in biopic film. This is the good news for the week for me
Yay.
specifically. Reports of an upcoming film set to portray the late Art Bell in his radio show Coast to Coast AM.
Which is
Paul
why we're here in
Giamatti,
the first place.
yeah, Paul Giamatti is said to be starring in the lead role, who's one of my favorite actors. With Giamatti, a 2-time Oscar-nominated actor attached to star, the Art Bell biopic has received a big boost in terms of its prestige. The late paranormal DJ hosted the 5-hour radio show Coast to Coast. Could you imagine if we went 5 hours? Holy smokes. Of
Yeah.
course, they had about 3 hours of radio breaks, of ads. So, Coast to Coast, which took unscreened calls from guests recounting allegedly firsthand tales of alien encounters, reincarnation, time travel, and other phenomena reminiscent of files. Bell even claimed to have had his own UFO encounter. At the peak of its popularity during the 1990s, Coast to Coast drew an audience of roughly 10 million listeners. He had a few more than we did. That's amazing. Amazon and Warner Brothers are said to be bidding on the project. In addition to working as a radio host, Art Bell was an amateur radio operator holding a license in the US and the Philippines. He was originally licensed at age 13, eventually earning an extra class license in the United States. I'm going to be waiting for that movie.
Yeah.
That might be like a Teamwear Takeover Theater experience there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Hopefully it all goes smoothly and it
yeah, you never
comes
know.
to
It's so early.
fruition. Yeah.
So early. It could easily not happen, but it's something to keep an eye on. And that was the news. All right. All right. Let's get to the guest for this evening. Mike Familant is a full-time Bigfoot researcher, producer, and lead investigator from Northwest New Jersey. He first got into Bigfooting in 2011 on an expedition in North Florida, we'll have to talk to him about the fog there, where he and a friend experienced rocks being thrown at them while sitting around a campfire. Since then, he has made it his personal goal to find out exactly what is roaming the woods of America. In 2016, after becoming frustrated with the lack of true research expedition shows on TV, he created his own called In the Shadow of the Big Red Eye. The show is currently filming their 9th season. In 2018, Mike also created a docuseries called Squatchables, which was created for people who are just getting into Bigfooting, sort of a Bigfooting 101. All of Mike's episodes and more can be found on his YouTube channel, Sussex County Bigfoot. In the Shadow of the Big Red Eye is also on Facebook and Instagram. Please welcome to the show, Mike Familant. How are you doing, Mike?
Hey, thank you for having me.
This is awesome. We love talking about Bigfoot.
Well, I am so glad to be here. I'm followed in some you guys have had some wonderful Bigfoot guests on before, and I'm so happy to be kind of one with them. And again, thank you so much for having me here. I'm
following in there,
to have some fun.
Bigfoot steps.
Exactly, right?
Dad jokes.
There we go.
And now before we get away from the weird news, your Bigfoot experience happened in Florida.
Yes.
What was why were you in Florida, and do you have any comment on this smelly fog?
So I will say I have smelled and witnessed said fog before outside of Jacksonville. As anybody knows, if you're going to Florida on I-95 southbound, as soon as you get into Florida, there's this big paper mill, and it smells, like a paper mill, and you get the fog that kind of I've seen it before, reminisces over said paper mill because it's by the river and the water and stuff, and it's the heat and stuff. It's definitely a thing. Is that what Florida is seeing? I don't know. Florida sees a lot of weird things, so
for certain
are just I think we're kind of there when it comes to that.
We have like 2 of them right around here, Mike. Like we have one like literally right across the river from us here. And it was just like a thing. You knew if it was cloudy outside, it'd be like, oh, we can smell. It's in a town called Hopewell. And it's like, oh, it smells like Hopewell today. Because like if you get that dense cloud cover, it would happen. So yeah, but like Jenny was saying though, if you live down there, you would think that you would kind of know what it was. It wouldn't be like a big question.
So this is maybe got to be something else.
Well, and that's kind of like, I don't know if you guys touched on it a little bit ago. We had the drones over New Jersey where I'm from.
We have talked about that a lot.
And it's like kind of the same kind of scenario is if like we know what airplanes look like. And that was like one of the common things people were saying is like they're just airplanes. No, I like we get them. We see them all the time. That's like that's our flight pattern. We get it. These are different. So same thing with the fog. It's got to be something different. There's got to be something going on with it.
Did you get to see any of the drones for yourself?
Oh, I went drone hunting. I put on my cowboy hat and we went out drone hunting, and we saw some. I got a good picture of one. It was really I don't know. Now they're gone. But my friend just posted one last night. They saw one over a town next to me. So they're still kind of around, but not really. Very strange.
So what did it look like for you?
Man, it was like an SUV sized, just silent kind of in it. They had the blinking lights on them, white solid lights, and then the red and green lights flashing. So it obviously I don't know. It was a drone. I could tell you that much. Where it came from, who it was for, or what it was doing, I have no idea.
What shape was it?
It was like an X shape, kind of like a big, kind of like a quadricopter drone, I guess, if you would.
Okay, so not one of those circly looking ones.
No.
Yeah,
it's really interesting because the big thing that kept coming out was like, oh, it's just like a bunch of people taking their drones up, and like, oh, because people are seeing this, it's just like a copycat thing. But I'm like, an amateur drone operator doesn't have an SUV the size of an SUV.
The size of it, a drone the size of an SUV.
So we actually took a drone up to try to chase these drones, and no comparison at all. You know, there's a person drone compared to these things is just there's nothing at all. So
yeah, that's really interesting. It started in New Jersey. You guys kind of were the central of that, but it kind of came out while that was happening that we were having them here in Virginia, specifically over our Air Force base down there, Langley Air Force Base. And then some news articles came out and talked about how for a few years now people have been seeing all kinds of weird things over Langley Air Force Base. So it's and then from what I heard, it was kind of the same way in New Jersey. Like these things have been reported before, but it just kind of all of a sudden like happened at, I guess, at a high enough level that people started really taking notice of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably never find out what was going on.
It's the sad part about it.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to your experience in Florida. That was your first Bigfoot experience. Tell us about it.
Oh, Bigfoot. Yes. That's why we're here. Yes. So Bigfoot in Florida. So you asked why I was down there. I had lived in New Jersey my entire life. I'm from New Jersey. That's where I'm at now. Northwestern New Jersey, armpit of Pennsylvania, New York is where I'm from. And I had moved down to Florida for my fiance. It was wonderful. I had gotten a job. I was an EMT firefighter my entire life. Gotten a job working kind of part-time as a front desk at a beach resort in Sarasota, Florida. Best job I have ever had in my life. I mean, the boss was like, hey, I want you to lock up and go watch the sunset on the beach with the guests every night. I'm like, come on, you do not have to tell me twice, you know? So anyways, I was one night I was watching, and we had this like old 70s TV, box TV in the corner because they couldn't afford anything else. And I was watching Finding Bigfoot on TV. And at the end of the program, they were like, hey, if anybody wants to come out and look for a Bigfoot, you can just email us. And whatever. So I emailed them, and they're like, okay, it's this amount of money. It was so ridiculously expensive. It was like beyond anything that I could ever comprehend. And you had to sign your life away, all these non-disclosure agreements or whatever. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this because this is going to be fun. This is going to be a weekend of entertainment. So that night I purchased 2 tickets, one for me, one for my fiance, whom I did not tell we were gonna go on a Bigfoot expedition. This was going to be our little pre-wedding surprise type thing. You know what I mean?
You'll have to tell us how that went next.
So anyways, I'm working a couple weeks. I had always been an inside growing up, like a child, a teenager. Put me like in front of a video game or movie or TV, I'm good to go for the day. Never been hiking, never been really introduced to the nature at all. So this was kind of like a new experience. So I had to buy the tent, the sleeping bags, and the headlamps and stuff that they require. And I'm hiding this stuff. We're living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I'm hiding this stuff in our patio, closet underneath the Christmas decorations. She is never gonna find this stuff. So anyways, couple weeks before the expedition comes along, I come home from work one evening, and I'm greeted by her at the doorway with the look on her face. Jenny, you know the look. I'm sure you've given the look a couple times. Frosty, you've
probably just today, probably just a couple times.
Yeah. Exactly. So you understand. I was given this look, and she said, Mike, she had her hand on her hip. Mike, what? She had did something that I still to this day, I have no idea why she did this. She had done something she had never done ever prior to this, ever before. She cleaned the apartment. And she found all this stuff. And she's like, Mike, what are we doing? And I said, hun, we are going to North Florida and we are looking for Bigfoot. Right?
Yeah.
Then we broke up. So there was that.
So did she not go on the Bigfoot expedition with you?
No, we broke up. That was it. That was it. Yeah,
God.
done, finito.
Was it because of the Bigfoot expedition?
It was a straw that broke the camel's back.
Holy moly, Mike. Goodness gracious. Okay.
So, yeah, so being an EMT, I moved to Tampa.
There's a lot of worse things she could have found in the house.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Other than a tent.
Granted, now that I look back there, finding a tent and some headlamps were not the worst thing that she could have found.
But we were talking about that before the show. The guitar's not a cinch, and telling people, telling your lady friend that you're really into UFOs and extraterrestrials and Bigfoot, and unless you got medium Ginny Lee, and then you're good to go. You'll go Bigfoot hunting.
Oh yeah, let's go.
There's a lot of people in chat that are ready to go Bigfoot hunting, I think, too. So
yes,
yeah, I think so.
There we
go. So, anyways, so
you had to go by yourself.
No, absolutely not. These tickets were really expensive.
I was about to say,
and they're non-refundable.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
So I was like, I'm not going by myself. First of all, I am not going to this by myself. Screw that. There's no way that's happening. I'm not going to a Bigfoot expedition by myself. So I moved up to Tampa. I got a job working on the ambulance. Like I said, I was an EMT firefighter. I got a job working on the ambulance for the city of Tampa. And I had 3 ambulance partners. And I had picked, what I did was I had picked the weirdest partner. And that's how I did. I said, Jimmy, his name is Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, listen, man, I gotta go look for Bigfoot. Do you want to come with me? And he said, and he's my best friend to this day. He said, oh man, I've always wanted to do that.
Yay.
And I said, nice, right? So we go up. We go up a couple weeks later to Reyes State Park. It's in the Panhandle of Florida. It's about 30 miles from Georgia, about 60 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. Very beautiful, beautiful area. I was actually just there. We just got back from there, which is really cool. But anyways, we were there, and we got there, and there was like 60 other people looking for Bigfoot.
That's a lot.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, how are we gonna find Bigfoot with 60 other people here? Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that's. And then I realized like how much we paid for it, how much everybody else had to pay for it, and I quickly realized what this was all about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless, it was 3 nights, 4 days of hiking through the Florida's Panhandle, talking to Bigfoot witnesses, researchers, really cool stuff. To take away from this, I thought it was going to be a weekend with a bunch of crazy people. But it turns out that these were like doctors and firefighters and lawyers and police officers, and they all have this common interest and some of them have seen Bigfoot. So that was really cool. But we were there because we wanted to find evidence of Bigfoot. That was our thing. Like, we're here just, come on, let's. So last night, nothing, this whole expedition, nothing happens. We actually found a Florida panther footprint, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. At the time, there were only like 20. Well, FWC says that there are only like 25 of them left in the wild. I think there's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But still, regardless, really freaking cool to find the Florida panther footprint.
Absolutely.
But nothing squatchy, nothing like Bigfooty happened to us at all until the last night, right? So Jimmy and I, we had our own personal little campfire. We camped about, 50 yards away from everybody else, because again, we thought everybody was going to be weird when we initially got there. So we were like, we're going to be as far away from these people as possible. So we had our own personal little campfire going. And it's about 2:00 in the morning, and Jimmy and I, we're just talking back and forth, and we're watching this really ridiculously beautiful meteor shower happening. And it was just like one of these like take back moments, you know what I mean? Where you just kind of sit back and be like, wow, this is pretty cool,
Yeah.
So we were having this, and all of a sudden, from one side of camp, you hear, bam, a tree knock. So I thought immediately it was the people that put on this expedition.
Yeah.
We didn't get any Bigfoot activity. We paid a lot of money to go on this expedition. So I was like, this is somebody knocking on a tree to, hoax us. I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. That's kind of cool. This gets our little, minds tingling, whatever.
I would think that because they want you to come next time, right?
That's how they have so many people come back year after year, right? So about 2 minutes later, we hear, bam, a tree knock from the complete opposite way. So I said, man, these people got to be pretty good. They got to be like have radios communicating with each other. Anyways, so about 15 minutes goes by. Jimmy and I are just still taking back this meteor shower, talking to each other. And all of a sudden, you hear it come crashing through the trees. Plunk. A fist-sized rock, just like that. It was actually this rock.
Wow.
And it lands about, 5-6 feet away from us. It was at that point in my life where I said, nope. This is how horror movies start. I am getting out of here. And Jimmy was like, well, if you want to sleep in the car, you're more than welcome to. And by the time he had said that, I had my sleeping bag and I was beelining it right to the car. Anyways, excuse me. He comes up to the car and he's like, Mike, Bigfoot knock on trees and they throw rocks. Like this could be squatchy activity. That's the whole point of why we're here.
Yeah.
It's a research expedition. So I was like, yeah, I suppose you're right. So I went back by the campfire. Over the course of the next 15 minutes, 4 more of these fist-sized rocks come crashing down, land 5 to 10 feet away from us. Now, my buddy, Jimmy, he was like, after this 5th rock came up, he came up and he was like, Mike, I got an idea. I'm going to throw a rock back at it. I said, Jimmy, man, I don't think that's a good idea. That's probably not the best option right now.
That's the next step of the horror movie.
Again. So you're right. So he takes the rock and he chucks it back in that direction. I knew it wasn't a person that was throwing these rocks because at that exact moment, a 15-pound laptop-sized boulder came crashing down and landed 5 feet away from us.
Wow. So did it seem like the rocks were had any chance of hitting you, or did it seem like it was intentionally being thrown so that it would get your attention but not hit you?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think they if whatever was throwing those rocks wanted to hit us, I think it would have definitely yes, for sure. 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then a laptop size rock, a normal person is going to have a hard time throwing that a long distance.
Well, and that's the thing. We went back the next day because we wanted to be all scientific about it because this was a research expedition, So the closest that this thing could have been that was throwing these rocks, because the trajectory it was coming through the trees, 75 yards away.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, unless Nolan Ryan was out there throwing for those that may not know who Nolan Ryan is, for the younger crowd, that's a baseball player.
Yeah.
Or a football player. I should just say he's a football player from now on. That's what I'm going to do. But yeah, I mean, it was so outside of human range.
That's a really long throw for an NFL quarterback.
Sure.
We'll put it that way. And even Patrick Mahomes is going to really have to get into it. And then mine only hit about 70 yards. Yeah.
Right. And that's a football.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. A football is not heavy.
Meant for throwing. Yeah. That's a long throw.
So that was it. Wow. We asked the next morning, we asked our camp neighbors, we said, hey, did anybody here see anything? And nobody did, so that was it. That was our thing.
Okay. We got a question from CMC. Were night vision or IR devices used as part of this scientific investigation?
Yes, this was actually back in 2011. So it was at the very beginning times that the public was able to have this thermal and IR technology. We were still in the night vision modes back then. So it was very difficult. We were in Gen 1 and Gen 2 night vision modes. So it was very difficult to get. We did have a thermal scope, but it was one of those like really bad things that didn't record, and you had to like hold it. It was like one of those firefighter ones that was like groundbreaking at their time. However, now we do have monocular thermal scopes that we use that record and are very high tech. So yeah, we do use them in the field today. Absolutely.
Cool. So after that experience, were you hooked?
Yeah. So excuse me. So Jimmy and I made it our personal goal. We were like, we got to figure out what threw those rocks at us, you know? So we started researching everything we could get our hands on, talking to witnesses, researchers, looking at hotspots. And in about a 3-week time frame, we decided that we are now professionals. So we went out solo. Colt Creek State Park, Central Florida, very cool area. I go across the country full time in tent camp as a job. If I were to pick one place that I would go because it's so beautiful, Colt Creek State Park, Central Florida, is green swamp, best place to go. I would challenge anybody to go walk through the sawgrass swaying and the Black River flowing and the eagles and the otter. Oh, it's very cool. Anyways, and the alligators, but squatchy. It's very squatchy as anything. We were there for one night only, and it was a no holds barred kind of night. I was doing Bigfoot calls. We went on a night hike. It was just me and Jimmy. We went on a night hike. I was doing Bigfoot calls like it was my job. Every 2 feet, I was doing a Bigfoot call, right? Anything with a brain would know that there's 2 idiots walking through the woods making these calls, right? Anything with a brain would have got out of the area. So we're about 1.5 miles from camp, and Jimmy is not scared at all. He's got his 6-foot-tall machete and his 10 million lumen spotlight that he's got, shining through the woods. So all of a sudden, about 1.5 miles through past camp, we come across 2 pairs of reflecting eyes. One pair, fire engine red.
Wow.
Just like this, right? The other pair, right next to it, aqua blue.
Blue and red. Weird.
Intriguing, right?
Yeah.
That is very weird. So Jimmy and I, in our infinite wisdom of everything in the woods, we thought it was people. We didn't realize people don't have eye shine. We can't see at night, right?
People's eyes do not reflect.
Yeah, we don't reflect, right? But we were so new to this whole Bigfoot thing, we were like, oh, it's probably just people. So anyways, we start yelling to them, hey, we're just looking for Bigfoot. No reply, right? Go figure. No.
The Bigfoots look at each other like, what are these 2 idiots doing out here?
Here's the thing. We thought they were poachers, like illegally poaching animals out there. So we're like, oh, this is not a good scenario to be in right now,
Yeah.
So we were like, hey, we're just gonna go back to camp. It's not a big deal, And then the red set of eyes turned, looked at the blue set, turned and looked back at us, and then blinked. Another nope moment in our lives, right? We were out of there real quick. Jimmy put a notch in the tree with his machete. So we made it back to camp. It was a sleepless night. We went back the next day to try to do a recreation. We saw the notch in the tree where the eyes were. I went back and I stood where the eyes were, and they were about 7.5 feet tall and about 2 feet apart from each other.
Wow.
So and that was it. That got us hooked. That was our first little experiences with Bigfoot, and it's been a roller coaster ever since.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I guess that is where the red eye name comes from.
Big Red Eye, actually, in we actually is Sussex County, New Jersey's little claim to fame of Bigfoot. Skunk ape in Florida, Grassman in Ohio. You have Big Red Eye in northwestern New Jersey.
Oh, that is so interesting.
Yes.
So it's already a thing in New Jersey. And then you guys are in Florida and you see one with red eyes.
We saw it, yes.
Wow.
The story behind Big Red Eye in 1972, there was a state park ranger up in New Jersey's High Point State Park, which is in Sussex County. And he went on record and said during his night patrol, he saw 2 pairs of reflecting red eyes in the forest. He wrote it in his report, and somehow the newspaper got a hold of that report. The next morning, front page in the news, Big Red Eye in the newspaper. 7-foot tall, glowing red eyes seen by a state park ranger. Wow. So pretty cool.
That's pretty interesting.
That is interesting. So I wanted to go back real quick. I know I'm taking us back in the story, but overall, would you say that first trip going down to Florida with for the show and all the people, still worth in your opinion in terms of having that experience, right? Even though it was kind of lots and lots of people to be able to kind of keep it going?
I'll tell you, if it was not for that experience, I would not be talking to you right now.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting on the street corner in the city of Tampa on an ambulance right now. So for that simple fact, was it worth it? Absolutely. Would I do it again? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. That's exactly the way I feel about paranormal investigation. Yeah. Like if you have a small team or even a medium group, it's fine. But to go to one of these events where there's 150 people all there to find ghosts,
it becomes more about the monetary and the economical part of it, which is unfortunate. It's not how it should be, but I get it. It's
also makes it very difficult to do investigations.
It's just really hard to do real.
Yeah.
And even if you split up the team into tenths, with there being 6 people a team, you're tromping through the woods with 6 people. You're not going to find Bigfoot like that, and then you have 10 other teams of that. You're not going to find Bigfoot like that. That's just not how it works.
It's the same thing with paranormal investigation, because you're trying to capture EVPs, and you can't capture EVPs when every time you record, you're hearing conversations from the 50 other people that are there.
Yeah,
exactly.
And trying to get 50 people to stay quiet is impossible. Pretty much.
Good luck.
But it can be, and I tell people, if you've never done it before, if you have no clue how to paranormal investigate, or I guess at this point, be a Bigfoot investigator, and you just want to go out and see how people do it, that could be a good way. And obviously it kind of was for you, because then okay, I figured out some stuff. I found out that I do enjoy doing the act of it, and now I can go out and do it on my own.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Kind of to say about that, I would suggest anybody that is wanting to get into the field of Bigfoot research, I think is a great field to get into. I think it's very, awesome. You don't have to pay a ton of money though. That's the thing. Sure. I have actually, it's a great way to network, to meet people, to learn how to investigate. 100%. It's great. But you can find all of that and how to do that on my YouTube channel. Just all you got to do is search a docuseries. It's called Squatchables. Did not steal it from Lunchables. Don't get me from that. All right. But it's a 11-part series about how to get into Bigfoot 101. And I did this because I paid a lot of money, and I don't feel that people who want to follow their ambitions and their passions should have to pay that much money to get into that field.
No, right? I agree.
It's not fair to somebody. It's kind of like saying, if you have enough money, you can get into the Bigfoot field. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That tends to happen with just about everything, unfortunately. It's like
yeah. So my show and what I do, my presentations, my library presentations and my venues that I speak at are all 100 always % free. And that's I never charge an admission, and I never will, because that's not my MO, and that's not what I'm all about. So hopefully,
awesome.
yeah.
Man after my own heart, Mike. Well, it's it's the way it is, man. Anyway. I'll leave it. I could go off on a tangent here, but I won't. I won't bore the people in the audience tonight with that. All right, so we've had our second experience here, and it seems like from there that just blossomed into a whole lot of investigating, because you're now on season 9
Yeah.
of your series, which we were watching some of, and it
I'm
seems
sorry.
like you're just doing a ton of investigating. How did that kind of start? So you're doing these investigations. How did you decide, okay, I'm going to start kind of filming this? We're going to start. And then I guess on top of that, we can get into how did you start determining where you were going to search?
Right. Okay. So great. So, perfect example why I started the show. The paranormal shows that play EVPs, and you play the music over them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why I created my show, because they do that with Bigfoot stuff, and they play Bigfoot vocalizations, and they put music over them. It's like, wait a minute. That's
what
not,
are you doing?
That's not, wait a minute. Hold on. So I wanted to make a show. So that was my thing. I was like, you know what? I'm watching all these shows on TV, and I can't knock finding Bigfoot, because that's exactly how I got into Bigfoot. But I can say it's a produced show.
Yeah.
It's there for, just like the ghost shows on TV. Yeah. They're all there for their production value and their ratings and the money. Yep. And I get that. I totally understand. So I wanted to make a show that's not about that. Something that's what Bigfooting truly is about. Something that's not about money, ratings, or anything like that. And that's why I made my show In the Shadow of Big Red Eyes. Started it back in 2016. Like you said, we're on our 9th season. We have over 330 episodes on our YouTube channel. Wow. We have a new episode that comes out every Monday at 7:00. So you can't miss us, really. If you're in the Bigfoot community, we're all over. The second part of your question is, where do I determine to go? Well, okay. Well, let's look at what I do for a living. So I'm a full-time Bigfoot researcher. I do this full-time. I travel around the country. During the day, I speak at libraries and venues. They pay me, which funds my way to tent camp at state parks and national forests around the country at night, and film my YouTube documentary, In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. So yeah, it's where I determine to go is when I look at the map of the United States. I say, ooh, I want to go to Virginia, right? So I said, let's make a tour to Virginia. So I pick an area in Virginia, and I say, oh, let's go to the Richmond area. So I say, perfect, let's go to Richmond. And I email every venue that I could possibly think of in the greater Richmond area. And then I will pick, hopefully they'll book me. Then I'll pick a central location in those areas to go tent camp and look for Bigfoot, and then be able to go look for Bigfoot and go to these venues at the same time. So it's not always about where Bigfoot is exactly. It's more logistically where I can, is more central to me, which makes more sense. But, I've been to some really great areas. We're going, we just got back from the Everglades in Florida, not a couple weeks ago. And, we're heading down to northern Kentucky next 2 weeks from now. It's gonna be great. We go to some amazing Squatchy areas.
All this Florida talk, I wouldn't be scared of the Bigfoot, but I am terrified of alligators.
Not the skunk ape, though, huh?
No skunk. I'm okay with the skunk ape. No alligators.
Not the alligators.
Did you have any experiences with alligators and all these Florida?
Oh, there's a ton of gators down the Everglades. Yeah,
they're everywhere.
I actually found and this is not something that everybody does. I found a dead gator, a dead 12-foot gator.
Oh, wow.
In one of the canals down the Everglades, and that's something you actually have to like contact the FWC. It's a law. If you find a gator, you gotta call the law enforcement to have them come out, and it's a big thing. So yeah, it was interesting to say the least. But yeah, gators are cool. The thing you gotta watch out for down there though is not the gators; it's the Florida panthers.
Yeah.
That
would be scary too.
That would also be.
That's a big.
We're just going off of our Red Dead Redemption.
Our Red Dead Redemption,
yeah.
The alligators and the big cats. They're always the ones that kill you. Frosty, do you want to read Kel's question?
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
Here it is. I got it.
Okay. Okay. Do you know Bob Gimlin's work?
Yeah.
Another Bigfoot YouTuber.
Yeah, I'm not super duper familiar with his work. I've seen a couple videos of his. I'm not super familiar, but from what he's up there on the positive of the YouTube list, so that's good.
Awesome.
And another question from CMC here, kind of going off what we were just talking about, was avoid alligators. Come to the Pacific Northwest for Squatch searches, which is where CMC is. He wants to know, have you ever gone up into the Pacific Northwest to investigate?
Unfortunately, this may shock some people. As a Bigfoot field researcher, I don't get paid a lot of money. So I would have to do a couple more libraries to be able to get out that way. So hopefully in a couple years, it's on the list to get out there. But yes, hopefully.
Cool.
Well, that actually, what CMC asked was going to be something that I was going to start leaning towards a little bit here, which was, so you've done a lot. I've noticed on the map that you had on your website, which we have listed. If you're watching later, it's down in the description, but we have it pinned to the top of chat here. You can go to shadowofredeye.com, and on there was a map of like places that you've been to and you've investigated. What does it seem like for you in terms of your investigations? Does it seem like there just seems to, like, have you had evidence from Bigfoot all up and down the East Coast, or does it seem to be centralized in other areas? Okay.
Yeah.
All up and down.
Maine to Florida. I can't say I've gotten evidence of Bigfoot in every state that I've been to, because that would be a lie. Have I talked to witnesses that I believe in every state that I've been to? Absolutely. Some of the best evidence I've got is from northwestern New Jersey up by me. We've gotten a footprint that was in the snow. That's crazy. We've gotten some vocalizations that I've sent to a linguist in the military, because I'm not a professional in any means, in any field at all, ever, period. So when I get evidence, I like to send that away to professionals that are apt to analyze stuff. So I got a guy, an audio guy, of course, and he's a linguist for the military, who happens to be into Bigfoot field research. And he listened to this audio clip that I provided for him. It was a series of 3 Bigfoot howls, and on the report back that he sent me, it said X, because of X, Y, and Z, it's outside a human vocal range, and it's no known animal from northwestern New Jersey.
Sweet.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, and well, we were talking a little bit before about some of the guests we've had on before, and we had Ron Moorhead on, and that was the first time I'd ever really heard of like this Bigfoot vocalization and like linguistics being brought into the field of Bigfoot investigation. And then of course we were talking earlier about having Charlie on, who's done that as well. So now you're the 3rd investigator we've talked to about vocalizations, and you also getting these vocalizations that, so they said it couldn't be a human voice, but did they pick up on anything that made them believe that it could be a language?
Well, no, it was just a series of 3 howls. The one that I captured, there was no tone, there was no consonant or vowels or anything like that. It was just a woo, 3 times really loud. Do I think that they communicate with each other? Yeah, I think that they have a very basic language. Ron, I believe, agrees that they probably have a more advanced language that they can communicate with, which is really intriguing. His Sierra sounds are just, I mean, top of the line, coolest vocalizations that in the Bigfoot community that you can listen to. And I'm just floored that you guys had him on. That's just really cool. But yeah, vocalizations are cool. The footprints are really intriguing. And just like those rocks being thrown at us, some of those things you just can't explain.
Mm-hmm. We have another question from Kel about skunk apes having 3 digits on each hand or foot. Do you know anything about those?
Yes. So I'm good friends with Dave Shealy, who's a skunk ape researcher down in South Florida. He has a Trail Lakes campground and also is the owner of the skunk ape headquarters down in Okeechobee, Florida. We were just down there, and he has Bigfoot or skunk ape casts that have 3 toes in them, which are extremely intriguing. We believe, as Bigfoot researchers, it could be because that there is in the Everglades, there's a very limited greenways that you can take. You can't get out of the Everglades. Basically, you're basically
it's like swampy,
there.
Right? It's like muddy, swampy mess.
In the northern United States, there's greenways, there's mountain ways that you can look at the Appalachian Trail. You can get from one area of the country to the other. Down in the Everglades in Florida, you're stuck there. So we believe that they have 3 toes, which could be due to inbreeding. We see that.
I was actually going to ask because, especially, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I always think of the mountains being maybe like what could be a higher population density for Bigfoot, possibly. And so if you have them kind of isolated, like say if East Coast, like, wood booger here in Virginia doesn't have connection with Sierra Bigfoot, then I imagine over, how long have they been separated? Thousands of years, tens of thousands of years? And could there be at this point like a difference between each kind of Bigfoot? So maybe not just these different names, skunk apes, wood booger, red eye, whatever, but maybe they actually are physical differences between these populations.
It could be. Look at the it could be. I like to think of Bigfoot that resemble kind of black bear, where you have northern black bear like up in Virginia, like you guys have them up in New Jersey and up here, but then you also have the same population of black bear not the same population, but the same species of black bear that live in Florida. However, they look extremely different. They're smaller. They don't have as much muscle mass. If you see a 200-pound black bear in Florida, you are calling the National Guard. You see a 200-pound black bear in your backyard in Virginia, you don't bat an eye at it, right?
Yeah.
No.
So it's called Bergman's rule. It's a ecobiological principle which says that animals that live in warmer climates are generally smaller than animals that live in colder environments because they have to eat less during the year to sustain themselves. So
I mean, pretty much any animal is different from location to location, even if they're the same. So it makes sense that Bigfoot would have the same thing happening. Yeah. What's your favorite Bigfoot names?
What do you mean names? Like
like
what do you call
there's so many different names for Bigfoot, Sasquatch, red eye, skunk ape, grass man. What's your favorite?
Yeah. I mean, you have I think, man, I don't know. The Yeti's pretty cool. The Yeti's just the abominable snowman. That's really cool. That's a good name for a mythical creature, the abominable snowman. I do like the general Sasquatch. I think that's the original kind of the Native American Sasquatch is what they used to call him. So kind of the Native American Pacific Northwest, or then you just have the general Bigfoot term. Just everybody knows Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Throughout the world. The Rougarou in Louisiana is pretty cool. I like saying that. That's kind of rolls off your tongue. Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Those French Cajuns. Yeah. And then Australia has the Yowie. There's just so many different. There's so many different names. And I love them all. I love them all. Just give them all. Let's do it. Okay. Do we have another question? Or I think the last one was.
I think we're okay right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're pretty much caught up. But if you do, let's go ahead and take, because we are getting ready to hit the top of the hour.
We are.
It is 9:00 here on the East Coast. So, yeah, there we go. So, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat. Also, if you're in Twitch, you can use the channel points to highlight it to make sure we don't miss it. If you are over on YouTube, we get your questions from there as well. And thank you for the questions that you guys have asked so far.
Good questions.
If you're just joining us, we are joined tonight by Mike Familant, and we are talking about Bigfoot and, well, whatever else we end up talking about tonight. We do want to mention, for all of you who maybe missed the beginning of the show, tickets for the Team Weird Takeover have gone live, so you can go to thewitchinghoursPodcast.com and finally purchase your tickets. We've been talking about pretty much since December. So there we go. We hope to see you all out there. Just real quick to go over it, your ticket is going to get you into the event, and it is going to get you tacos and pizza. I don't know how much tacos and pizza, but we're going to buy a whole bunch of it, and we'll see how much people are, sharing. But we're going to have tacos and pizza, and we're going to do a bunch of things that night. We're going to do some hanging out first off. We're going to do some paranormal investigation. We're going to do you're going to do some channeling. We're going to do a gallery reading, a medium gallery reading.
I think we're going to have craft time with Priestess Wonderland.
Craft time with Priestess. So it's going to be, there's going to be plenty to do. I'll put it that way. There's going to be plenty of events to do on our short hangout there.
CMC is bound and determined to get you to come out to the Pacific, Pacific side, being directed to tell Mike that southern British Columbia is a hotspot where he'll find success.
Yeah, they won't let me into Canada. That's the thing. I don't know. I tried.
And then Luce wanted to know, do you know good places for Bigfoot in Michigan?
Oh, Michigan is awesome. I love Michigan. Hiawatha National Forest in the UP. Get some pasties while you're up there. For sure.
Awesome.
Luce wanted to know if margaritas were involved.
Always.
I don't know if we can drink on the property. But if you come on Friday night, we can have a margarita.
There we go. And CMC wanted to know if I was bringing a guitar. I can bring a guitar. I'd have to relearn some stuff. I've forgotten. Yeah.
Are you coming? Are you going to bring a guitar?
You bring the guitar and I'll sing. How about that, CMC? That would work a little bit better. All right.
So, okay. Do you have a question for us? Because I got a list.
I'll let you go.
Okay. All right. So, different Bigfoot researchers have different opinions. What's your opinion about what they really are? Are they just an animal, or are they something more than that?
Great question. So, I think that's kind of like the basis of all. There's three camps of what Bigfoot are. The camp of the intradimensional / UFO camp, where they could be either beamed down by UFO spaceships or shapeshift into an instant out of this dimension. Or there's the biological camp, which I'm a fan of, because that's what my evidence that I have uncovered thus far has led me to believe. Now, not saying that I don't agree that Bigfoot could be intradimensional. I am open to that opinion. I just need to see evidence of that. And if anybody can show me evidence of that, or if I could see it firsthand, I would be more than willing to change my opinion.
Yeah, I think Charlie Raymond agreed with you. Like, all of his evidence pointed to it just being an animal. But then Ron Moorhead was like, I think there's something more to them. But I agree with you. Exactly. I agree with you too, that it's like, you can only believe what you've seen. And if you haven't seen anything that leads you to think otherwise, and that's what you've got to go on.
And here's the thing that kind of is crazy to people is I've devoted my life to the search for Bigfoot. However, I have never seen a Bigfoot.
That was a question.
I don't even know if Bigfoot exists 100%.
So you haven't got to see one for your own with your own eyes yet.
No.
Wow.
I'm sitting that they exist 80%.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's crazy that, you know, people be like, you don't think that they're out there 100% or at least 99%. I said, no, there's
you haven't seen it.
That's I'm a very scientific visual person. If you got to see it, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck, but I've never seen the duck before, so can't say it exists.
Wow.
I mean, I appreciate that actually, because I feel that way about a lot of these things. It's like I'm super into ET, UFOs, Bigfoot, like all this stuff. And then it's like, so you believe in Bigfoot or what? Well, I mean, kind of. I think it's there, but like, I don't know if I'm betting my whole paycheck on it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not betting your salary on it. So yeah, I get it. Like, you know, you got seeing is believing. And that's where I do get passionate about treating witnesses with respect, because like once you've seen something, then it doesn't matter what kind of if you're a skeptic and it's like, oh well, they just saw this. Once you saw something, you saw something, whether you saw it or not. And so that's where I do get like, hey, like, someone saw it to a certain extent, unless they're at that point, you either say one of two things: either this exists and they saw it, or it's a hoax. And unfortunately now, one of the things we were talking about earlier, like in Discord or something, was the idea that with all this footage that people have, you just never know in this day and age whether it's hoax or not, because you can do so much with modern technology and creating video.
And with AI. It's this, I mean, I've seen, I don't even look at like pictures of or videos of Bigfoot anymore that people send me, because it could be just AI. I just don't know. It's not for me to determine. It'd be cool if it wasn't, but if it is, whatever. It's unfortunate that's what it's become of. But that puts me in a very unusual and unfortunate predicament, because as a Bigfoot field researcher, as a doing this full time, if I were to get the sole thing that I'm out there to get, the very clear video evidence of Bigfoot, what's everybody going to say?
Yeah. People are going to have to question whether it's a hoax or not. Yep.
Exactly.
Or did he? Or we don't know if he hoaxed it. I mean, could he have hoaxed it? He could. But, that's one of the things that I think gives you credibility, though. Like the fact that this is what you do and you're like, I'm 80%. I like it because I can see that and go, okay, like to me, I can identify with that. And I can be like, okay, like he's someone out there trying to find the truth. Not every time you go out Bigfoot hunting do you find a ton of evidence.
Nope.
Right?
1 in 10. I'm sitting at 10% the amount of times I go out and possibly maybe have something that could be related to Bigfoot happen to us. It's 1 in 10.
Yeah.
And
which, to be honest with you, if you were to tell me like, hey, Frosty, let's go out Bigfoot hunting, chances are we're not going to see anything, but let's go investigate that. That might not sound like really good odds, but in reality, 1 out of 10 times is pretty darn high.
That's anybody that has more activity than I'm not saying that I have like the best activity in the world. I don't, but anybody that says they have activity like 1 in 4 times or every other time that they go out doesn't have a clue what they're looking for. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, I used to take people out that wanted to go Bigfooting, and they would, pay me to go out on these expeditions, and I'd take them out. And one of the reasons why I stopped doing that, 1, liability, because everybody's too happy nowadays. 2 is they wanted to go out to get evidence of Bigfoot, and I can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have them experience the sadness or, of getting their hopes up. of being like, oh man.
You would almost have to change it into like we're going to do a Bigfoot 101 class outdoors. And I'll teach you how to hunt for Bigfoot. And then maybe, something will happen or something won't.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah. But
that's a new branding idea. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, you can take your videos and make it a class where people actually come to it. Norse wanted to know if you
come here for a podcast, leave getting business ideas. Love it.
Frosty's the idea man. Norse wanted to know if you found footprints though.
Yeah, footprints are cool. Down in the Pine Barrens in southern New Jersey, we find juvenile Bigfoot footprints, which are really intriguing because they're not like everybody thinks about as the 14 to 18-inch footprints that Bigfoot leaves behind. They're 6-7-inch footprints.
Is that the Jersey Devil though?
No, couldn't be the Jersey Devil. Don't know if the Jersey Devil's real. Don't know.
But that's where he's supposed to be, right? In the Pine Barrens?
Absolutely, for sure. No evidence has ever been found of the Jersey Devil.
It's a great story, though.
Oh, it's a phenomenal story. I went down there looking for the Jersey Devil a couple times, and it's awesome. But it's very squatchy down in the Pine Barrens as well.
But little squatches.
If Bigfoot is a biological creature, it has to start out as a juvenile at some point, as a baby at some point, right? So it's gonna leave baby Bigfoot footprints. We found these footprints in February, 1.5 miles from the closest trailhead along this river. 34 degrees out. It was freezing the night prior. And there's no adult footprints, but these 6-inch footprints just meandering along a riverbank.
Wow.
They were fresh, couldn't have been from a day prior, anything like that. Littlefoot is correct. But what could have made them? It was something. We found footprints up in High Point State Park in New Jersey. Which were crazy. They were 15.5-inch footprints.
Wow.
If anybody's interested, they could go to Sussex County Bigfoot on Facebook and check them out. They're under the photos. Footprints are just really cool because you can gain a lot. You could really analyze the footprints really good, especially if you have a good cast of them as well.
I asked Charlie Raymond this question. Is Harry and the Hendersons one of your favorite movies?
Yes.
That was his answer too.
It's one of Jenny's favorite movies also.
So I used to have the Bigfoot Mobile Command Center, a BMCC1, and it was a 2015 Subaru Outback.
Yeah.
And I completely uplifted it. It has like graphics on the side. It says research all over it. It has a big roof rack. And I swear, if I had the opportunity and I hit a Bigfoot, there's no way that I would not put that thing on top of it, ratchet strap that thing down, and take it back to Jersey with me. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Then you would have your own Harry and the Hendersons experience.
There we go.
Yeah. I actually saw a vehicle not that long ago in our area that had it must have been like one of those things that you print out and you have it plastered on like a wrap, but it was of Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, nice.
Like, what?
Nice.
Coolest car ever. Yeah.
Fun fact for you, the last little bit in that movie, I don't know if you know, when right before the credits roll, there's the family of Bigfoots that kind of
spoiler
appear.
alert. Spoiler alert.
They kind of appear, in the forest. For those of you that haven't seen the 1970s classic yet, watch out. Here comes a spoiler.
There's a lot of people who haven't seen that movie, I'm telling you.
But what's cool about that is a lot of people think that they're digitally animated but they're actually there the whole time.
Yeah. I've noticed that because I've only watched that movie like 20 times. Yeah,
no, but it's cool.
They're
people
really
think
there.
that. Yeah, but that goes to show you how people and things can hide in plain sight. Isn't that cool?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
and
that's one of the things that's one of the things I always tell people. So for a little bit of time, I drove truck, like not a big truck, but I drove a delivery truck all over Virginia. So I would go from the cities up into the mountains, to the, up into the northern neck and like all over Virginia. I drove this trek. And one of the things I've realized really quick is that I'd always been like in kind of suburbia because I was a Navy brat. So I was always near like Navy bases and stuff like that. But I don't think a lot of the population, especially people who are in urban or suburban areas, realize how much of nothing there is out there still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people still have this idea that it's like red lights and McDonald's everywhere, and there is still a lot of places where there is just a lot of open wilderness. And so the idea that, that Bigfoot couldn't exist, I think a lot of times gets put into that idea of like, well, if you really knew how much wilderness was out there, you would realize that it really isn't that far fetched to believe that there's a small amount of something that could be living out of sight and just not coming into populated areas.
I like to put it like this. I think there's two family groups, and this is just a philosophy. I think there's, give or take, two family groups of Bigfoot that live within the state of New Jersey. Okay. And that's maybe less than 20 individual species of Bigfoot that may or may not inhabit the state of New Jersey, right? You take 20 people and you put them, scatter them across the state, and you take a search team and you have the best drones and the best search teams and the best thing, you are never going to find those people ever, especially if they don't want to be found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question about it.
And like,
so you try to do that with Bigfoot, and it's like, it's almost a joke that people think that, oh, there's just, there's people would have found them by now. Well, we're still finding things today that people don't realize about.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's big things, but back in 2012 we found a primate, the Lasula. That's a monkey that we had no idea existed. That's crazy. That's 2012. I was out of high school at that point. I was in college when we found a species of primate that lives on this earth.
Well,
that's
for
crazy
a long
to me.
time, they thought that giant squid were a myth until they found one.
So you found
for
one.
Sure.
So,
well, and that is a legend that was always a legend, but it's every legend I feel has to be based in fact somehow.
Yeah. Especially when it's all over the world in different cultures and time periods.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially like, look at Bigfoot and look at North America, and you have like every Native American species or tribe. I'm sorry, not species. Every Native American tribe in the United States has this story of Sasquatch or Bigfoot. And they all describe the same 7 to 8 foot tall, hairy covered creature that's bipedal, that lives out in the woods, that's a protector of the forest. However, none of those tribes ever communicated with each other. They had different languages. The only times they communicated with each other was either to kill each other or to trade things. They're not going to share stories about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does every Native American tribe end up with the same story of the same creature? It's incredible.
Well, to add on to that, and I don't know if we have Princess Poo Poo in here tonight, but the Yowie in Australia, I'm pretty sure that is Aboriginal, correct, Jenny? Do you know about that? That goes back to the Aboriginals who live there, correct?
Yeah, I think that when she's talked about it in chat, yes.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily like something that Europeans brought over there. So there you have like a whole separate landmass on the other side of the world, Mike, on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Where the people
with
who have
native people know of a creature
years,
that's just like the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Now, where that thing lives in Australia, I don't know. I probably need to look more into.
Well, Australia has everything.
I mean, a lot of it's the outback, but you have the
they have
regions.
rainforests and
that's
they
true.
Got everything down there.
They got everything.
You're right. I
know I am.
You know what? I'd be fascinated to look for, and I think once I find Bigfoot, I'm gonna go for it.
Okay, what
is the Tasmanian tiger?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would love what's it called? I forget the scientific name of it, but the thing that went extinct, I believe it was back in the early 1900s.
Yeah, they have
in the zoo.
couple pictures of
it.
Yeah, the thylacine is what it is.
Yeah,
and they still have sightings to this day. I would love the opportunity to go down and investigate that. I'd be floored by that.
They still have sightings, and we had a news story, probably a year ago now or so, because we were at the old place. But they're actually talking about cloning them. They have their DNA, so they're talking about making some of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be there. There's quite a few. There's quite a few like that. Quite a few animals that are like that. Where the panther is one of them. I was curious about the other day whether Virginia had any, and every once in a while we have a sighting, but evidently, like the department that deals with that says that Virginia doesn't have any.
I mean, we have
it's
mountain
intriguing
lions
because
and lynx, but yeah, I don't know about a panther.
But mostly we have sightings though, cougar sightings.
From Maryland, I've casted, and I display this wherever I go. It's actually about to be displayed in the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum. I shouldn't have said that, but a panther track from Maryland.
Oh wow!
They say that in Maryland, just like Virginia, they say it not possible. They don't exist there. Not. But I have this physical evidence that shows there's no way that this is not a mountain lion panther from Maryland.
Sweet.
And and that goes to just like the Bigfoot. They say Bigfoot doesn't exist either. So what can you believe, right?
Well, let's get ready to say. So if you're in Maryland, have you found a panther carcass?
No.
Have you found panther scat?
Nope.
Right. So how do we know there's a panther there? Just the print. Just the print.
Why do you think that we haven't found a Bigfoot body though? What do you think's up with that?
Oh, that's if you're looking for a Bigfoot body or bones or anything, you're looking for a needle and a stack of needles, what I tell people. You go from have you guys been in the woods at all ever?
Yeah, a little bit.
Ever seen a dead bear?
Have not.
On the side of the road, actually, but not in the woods.
On the side. Yeah. We know that
on the side of the road. Yeah.
We know there's a ton of bear out in the woods, right? You'd think that we would trip over the amount of deer bones that are in the woods. But going back to the bears, I ask hunters all the time. I say, they come up to me and they say, Mike, I've been hunting for 40 years and I've never come across a Bigfoot bone. And I say, sir, and I hope it's a sir with that voice, but I say, sir or ma'am, I say, how many times have you come across a bear skeleton in the 40 years? And their minds are blown because nobody ever comes across a bear skeleton.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen unless it's roadkill.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't find a bear skeleton. We know there's bear. We know there's a ton of bear. Now, take an animal that wants to remain hidden.
Yeah.
Take something that there's not a ton of. I think there's 2,000 Bigfoot that live in the entire United States. Not a lot.
Yeah.
Mostly in the Pacific Northwest. You have a majority of that population in the Pacific Northwest. So you have, east of the Mississippi, you have a very limited number of population. So you're not going to find a Bigfoot bone or a Bigfoot carcass. It's just not going to happen. You have scavengers that eat the bones. Do you know porcupines and field mice eat bones?
Yeah. Bones are got a lot of nutrients in them.
They got some
there's
calcium.
There's a lot of things that eat bones. Yeah.
Well, that was kind of a question that kind of piggybacking off of what I had earlier that you kind of questioned there too, which was, so you suppose there's a larger density population of Bigfoot on the West Coast than there is on the East Coast?
I do. Yeah.
Makes more sense, I guess.
Well, you just look at the sighting, the number of sightings. You have so many more the sightings up in the Pacific Northwest, Northern California, Oregon, Washington State, and it would make sense. You have the rainforest out there. That's where it seems Bigfoot sightings and Bigfoot populations like where it rains a lot and like where it's acidy. Fun fact: if you take a Bigfoot population map or a Bigfoot sighting map and you overlay it with a bear population map, they're almost the exact same no matter what state you go to. So if you have bears in your area, you have a very high potential. It's a good indicator species that you could potentially have a Bigfoot in your area as well.
There you go, Jenny, because we had bear up there where we were living before.
Bear. Yeah.
We were living up. We weren't in the mountains, but we could see the mountains from our home.
Yeah.
We were in the
There
foothills.
you go.
And we would see bear pretty often there. We were driving home one night and it was very dark. We were out there in the boonies and it was very dark coming down our dirt driveway one night. And I was like, we had been talking about, and I asked Jenny, like, you think we got Bigfoot around here? And she was like, we definitely have Bigfoot around. But that makes sense because we were in a bear heavy area where I wouldn't think we would have Bigfoot where we live now.
No.
Yeah.
Not here. We don't have bears here either.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Chico said I'm in Northern California, and I'm pretty sure my neighbor is a Bigfoot.
That's what my neighbors say too, Chico.
Oh yeah.
That's now you guys say you're more in the city, so you got the urbanized Bigfoot, right?
Yeah.
So that's a thing for you guys.
Is there an urbanized Bigfoot?
We'll say there is.
I was just thinking about that because I work in the city again, and I'm always surprised at how many animals really are in the city. So then when we were talking about just a little while ago, my imagination went wild with city Bigfoot. That would be really fun.
Well, people don't realize, but there's coyotes that live in Central Park.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. I don't even it's insane. How'd they get there?
Yeah.
People say there is a big thing that say people people believe that Bigfoot are on Long Island. Not sure if I agree with that one or not. I think that's more the spiritual Bigfoot, the interdimensional Bigfoot type of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, and we kind of already talked on this, so I won't like stay on it for very long. But because I do find it very interesting the amount of connections there's been between areas where there's Bigfoot sightings and areas where there's UFO sightings. Have you drawn any correlation with that? Because I've heard multiple things. I've heard there's a high connection between UFO sightings and Bigfoot sightings, and then we've also had guests, specifically Charlie Raymond. We had on who said he didn't see that data. Like that data, didn't correlate for him. What about for you?
Okay, so I that's a great question. I have no evidence that shows any correlation. However, I do have a story, and I will let you guys determine whatever you think it is. Okay. So we were investigating up in High Point State Park, New Jersey, and I think there were 5 or 6 of us, and we all saw about 1 o'clock in the morning. It was doing like an M or a W across the sky, like zigzagging back and forth, but going in a certain, you know what I mean, going in a direction.
Yeah.
Red light. Obviously nothing that we could have that I knew of, that it made sharp turns. Like you couldn't, and it was going fast. It was weird. And we all witnessed this. So I wasn't going crazy because I could have easily just said I saw something or whatever. About 15 minutes later, we were in the same location after we saw this, and we got the best Bigfoot vocalization I've ever heard before.
Wow.
Do I think it's related? No. It's too far apart for me. However, there are people that I've talked to that say, you don't think that's related?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What was the vocalization like? Was it a howl or was it something?
It was those 3 howls that I kind of described before.
It's the ones from earlier. Oh wow.
Yeah. Yep, that came back that they weren't anything known.
It doesn't have to be related, but maybe the Sasquatch are just as aware of the weird things happening in the sky as we are.
For sure.
Yeah.
It was last time we were talking about maybe the ETs are coming and talking to the Bigfoot, not us.
Yeah, because we're pretty awful,
We don't shoot at their spacecraft, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Bigfoot don't, they just throw rocks at it, maybe. Yeah. CMC wanted to know, do you have any recordings of the house?
Yeah, on my YouTube. Just go on the YouTube, Sussex County Bigfoot or In the Shadow of Big Red Eye, and you could search for I don't know, Bigfoot. Well, don't search for Bigfoot because you'll get everything, but search for like howl or vocalization, and that'll come up, or best. I think best comes up for that one.
Cool.
And you can hear that one that we're actually talking about right now.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And just put that out there again. All the locations will be put in the description if you're listening to this later out there on Apple or Spotify or any of those wonderful places. And that's shadowofredeye.com. And over on youtube.com, you can find them at Shadow of Red Eye as well.
Which is pinned at the top of the Twitch chat and at the beginning of the chat in YouTube.
So definitely go give the YouTube a follow.
Yep.
I would definitely do that. I'm followed over there. And like I said, we started watching some of the show. And one of the things I will say that I appreciate about it, we were talking about earlier, is kind of the authenticity of it. Like me and Jenny realized right off the bat, like this is a show for people who are into Bigfoot hunting. Like this isn't something that you're going to sit down and be like, oh, I want to see what's on here tonight. It's like, but I appreciated that because it's like, you're going to get real evidence here, and not every time, where we were talking about earlier, you're not going to find Bigfoot every time you go out in the woods. And so I would say go check that out, because I know a lot of us are looking for shows that aren't just Hollywood hype, that actually have some content in it.
The underlying theme to every episode that I release is relates to my mission statement of why I do what I do and why I talk about Bigfoot and why I look for Bigfoot. And that is to entice friends and families to get off the couch and into nature more, and to see something that you wouldn't see sitting on the couch every day. That's why I do what I do. And I fundamentally think that it's so important that everybody has that opportunity and can do that. Early on in my career, I think it was in season 2, somebody had contacted me via private message and said, listen, I have this new unfortunate disease that unfortunately I'm not able to get out into the woods anymore. Look for Bigfoot like I always did. However, I found your show and I now live vicariously through your show.
That's beautiful.
That's why I do what I do. It's not about finding Bigfoot.
That's one of those moments where you're like, this is why I'm doing this.
100%. Absolutely.
Awesome. That's great.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, well, and that makes a lot of sense too, because I'll be the first to admit I'm not the biggest outdoorsman. There's been time in my life where I've been an outdoorsman or more outdoorsy, but like right now, for the thing we have come up in June, this Teamwork Takeover, we're going up to Lake Shawnee Amusement Park, in this abandoned amusement park in West Virginia that's out in the middle of nowhere, and we're going to camp out there, and I'm super excited about it, even though I'm not a huge camper, because we're going to be doing fun stuff. So it's like same way with Bigfoot hunting or going out to look for UFOs or any of that stuff. It's like a way, I guess, for even if you're not someone who wants to go hiking every weekend, it's a way to kind of get out there in nature, a way to go out there and kind of be able to enjoy it by connecting it to something that you kind of do have an interest in.
There you go. That gave me the best idea, because I can never get Frosty out of the house. So now I can just say, we're going to go look for Bigfoot. Why don't we go see if we can find these ETs, like.
But, and listen, and it's true though, because like, fundamentally looking for Bigfoot is kind of scary, and it's not meant for everybody, right?
Especially if there's alligators,
right? Gators, but it just like ghost hunting, it's just not meant for everybody. I went on one ghost hunt once in my entire life, and I was scared out of my bejesus, and I will never ever do it again. Maybe, probably not, but but seriously, it's not for everybody. But even if like get into, like, I like fishing now. I thought fishing was the most boring thing ever. I like doing that. Survival stuff, I'm into that. Photography, that's cool. I can rub two sticks together and make a fucking fire now. How crazy is that? You know what I mean? Like, I never would imagine you asked me 15 years ago, hey, can you rub two sticks together and make a fire? I'd be like, you are crazy. You need to go into the mental asylum. And now here I am doing it every other weekend. It's like, what? Yeah. But and I'll tell you, it's all because of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Those 15 minutes of rock throws changed my life forever.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
Keisha wants you to come join us at Lake Shawnee.
I will say,
maybe so you can make us a fire.
I'll make you guys a fire.
Yeah. Start the campfire. I can do
I'm
it with the.
I'm gonna get a phone call at like midnight and be like, "Hey, this is Frosty.
Yeah.
Can you give us some tips on how to?"
How do you rub those sticks
I
together?
use the little cardboard squares, the fire starters, and I'm good.
Yeah, just gasoline, lighter fluid, and a lighter. You're fine.
If you give me two sticks, I'm going to be in trouble. So one of the ways, that I reached out to you, I was looking along with Priestess of Wonderland, who does our moon phase updates here, for a festival that's coming up August 29th, the Uwahari Bigfoot Festival. So we saw that you were going to be out there. What can you tell us about what we have going on at that Bigfoot Festival?
Well, I'm not I'm just the MC of it, so I don't know the details. I know Angie is the host of it. She's the one that's putting it on, the Uwahari Bigfoot Festival. It's at the Denton Farm Park in Denton, North Carolina, and they have camping available there, which is cool. So get your camping early. I know it's already starting to fill up, but I think they're gonna have like the Bigfoot monster truck there. They're gonna have Bigfoot calling contests, the biggest foot contests. I mean, it's gonna be food trucks out the kazoo. It's gonna be a really good time. Vendors, so many vendors. I'm gonna be there speaking. There's gonna be speakers there. I kind of know a couple of the speakers, and let me tell you, you're not gonna want to miss it. It's going to be a really, really cool event, and I hope you guys can make it as well. I hope we can meet up in person there if we can.
Yeah, we've been really looking at going to it.
Yeah, we were talking about possibly getting a table there or something, but I think we might just go there as just to be able to go there and enjoy it. Yeah. It's like a different thing, because sometimes when you're attached to it or doing like a table there or something like that, you kind of get stuck at the table. So we were like, it'd be cool to be able to have a little bit of freedom to walk around. Yeah. So
hey, get a campsite and come. You're more than welcome to come hang out with me at night.
Sounds good, because you know how to rub the sticks together. CMC wants to know, do Bigfoots create fire?
That's a great question. I think they could rub sticks together, but I don't think that they can create fire. No. I think fundamentally that would be a really great theory and a great story if they could create fire. But if Bigfoot were to create fire, I think we would know about it by now.
It'd be probably a little easier to find them too. They're sitting around a campfire in the middle of the night too.
Right. Yeah. If they need to warm up their feetsies or whatever.
Does Bigfoot create shelter?
Yeah. So I think Bigfoot are nomadic, which means that they follow the food. I don't think they have a set location that they always go back to. Bears have dens. I think in that sense, I think Bigfoot are very, very much like bears, except when it comes to their sleeping patterns. I think they're more like deer, where they kind of just roam, and wherever they're in a family group, and wherever they find safe and shelter and cover, that they'll just bed down for a little bit, get up, eat the resources in the area, and continue to move on.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So we were talking earlier about evidence. So like tracks, obviously a big one. Have you ever, you haven't seen Bigfoot. Have you ever come across what you believe to be Bigfoot hair or scat or anything like that?
Yeah, I did. One time I did come across some Bigfoot scat. And it was just it just looked like bear, but big. That was the best way I could describe it. And I'm like,
big bear.
Well, I think
big
Bigfoot eat. Yeah, big bear. Well, I think Bigfoot eat what bear eat. So I think, because if they're found in the same areas, I think they probably eat similar things. So so we found this big bear, and I collected it, and I put it in a paper bag, which is the way you're supposed to collect biological samples. And the way you're supposed to store scat is you put it in the freezer. So I put it in the freezer, labeled it like you're supposed
to. Poopsicle.
Yeah, and came back from work one day, found that mom was not. She went to clean out the freezer, found Bigfoot poop, tossed that real quick. So
damn it, Mom! That was my poop.
So if anybody's interested in Bigfoot poop, that's really,
there you go.
You know, to each your own. However,
paper bag, put in the freezer, but make sure the people that live there know.
In Blue Ridge, Georgia, they actually have a scat sample in
cool.
the Bigfoot Museum in Blue Ridge, Georgia. So
you know, that's something they can test DNA in. I mean, your poop's got DNA in it.
That's true. That's true.
That's another pickup line right there. I got a whole freezer full of Bigfoot scat.
Hey, you know what I've come to realize in my early days of Bigfoot research, it's not a pickup line to say you're a Bigfoot researcher.
Who would have thought?
I know, right?
Well, I will tell you a story about that though. I had when I was finish up my graduate degree in history, I was talking to one of my professors, and he was having to go out of town to one of these, academic, events or whatever, where they would sit and give the conference, and all that stuff. But the night before, they would all go out to a bar, and he's like, "This is the most pretentious thing ever." You have all these academics in a room, and all they're trying to do is like cut each other down and talk about how shitty the other person's research is, and it gets to be very catty in that kind of thing. But he was like, this one time. He's like, we were in DC, and I was just like, I got to get the hell out of here. And he went up to the bar to order a drink, and he said there was a guy there, and I just happened to ask him like, hey, what brings you into town? And the guy was like, I'm a Bigfoot researcher. And he was like, so my history professor said he sat down and talked to him the whole night. Like they just drank like whiskey and scotch. And he was like, it was the best time I ever had at a history conference because I was talking to Bigfoot researchers. So there are a lot of people out there who would be more than happy to sit and chat all night. So that was great. What else do you have going on this year? So is this something that you kind of do a lot of with cons, like for doing Bigfoot stuff, or do you have any other of those planned this year?
Yeah, so right now we're just starting our 2025 Do You Believe tour, which is my library tour across the country. We're going Maine to Florida. Speak at libraries, festivals, conferences across the country. Anybody that's interested in seeing my appearances or where I'm going to be can go to my website, shadowofredeye.com. They're all listed on there. But yeah, do this full time. Last year I did 100 presentations. This year we're on track to do about 85 or so. Nice. Last year I tent camped 139 nights. This year in 2025, we're on track to camp 150 nights.
Sweet.
Wow.
Yeah. That's all across the country, all in the name of looking for Bigfoot.
Exciting.
Wow. So Shadow Max had a question here. Have you ever felt like you are being watched or hunted when going out hunting for Bigfoot? And I guess I would add to that, has there ever been a time where you've been kind of worried that something was following you?
Yeah. So, okay. So, once, so early, okay. So I used to be really uncomfortable going out in the woods at night. Not a fan of it. Didn't know why I was doing it. Kind of, thought it was like crazy and stupid. Then I, started getting a little more and more comfortable. And after a couple, years, I was pretty comfortable about being okay. So there's this one trail that is very close. It's probably the closest, squatchiest trail to my house. And I have done this trail so many times. I could do it upside down, backwards, blindfolded, day, night, you name it. I could do, not a problem. Right. And I am totally cool at this point going solo. I would rather be solo than with people at this point in my life. That's how comfortable I am just being in the woods. So I'm doing this hike. It's a 3-mile hike. I get dropped off at the trailhead because it's not a loop hike. It's a one-way hike. Get dropped off at the trailhead. And I go about a quarter of the mile into this hike, and I come across a tree break that was not there the week prior. I've done this hike tens of times, not hundreds, but tens of times I've done this hike. And this tree break was not there the week prior. So all of a sudden, I get this feeling. It feels like I hit a brick wall, like a figurative brick wall, although I didn't hit anything. But every ounce of everything in my body told me that I need to get out of this woods right now. And I can relate that to Bigfoot infrasound. I think that was one of the only times people can relate this feeling of dread and scared and all their hair standing up on their back to this feeling of Bigfoot infrasound, which infrasound is a known thing that primates can produce that is actually below our hearing range. We as humans can't hear this sound, but we can feel it. So I think Bigfoot, just like other primates, can produce this sound, and that is a kind of way of getting people out of the area. And it sure worked, because I'll tell you, that was the only hike in my entire life that I've never finished.
Wow.
That's
pretty really interesting.
Yeah.
Jinx, double jinx.
There we go.
So kind of going along those lines, and I know you're more of a scientific person, so this might not be in your wheelhouse.
We get a little woo-woo here, Mike.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But perhaps, in your talking to people who've had experiences with Bigfoot as well, just kind of open it up to all of the things that you know. Do you or have you heard of people experiencing telepathy with Bigfoot encounters?
Yes. I can't relate to it because, again, I've never experienced anything like that. I would love to. However, I've talked to people that have experienced it, and I find it absolutely phenomenal. The mind speak is just a really intriguing thing. Again, I've never experienced it, so I can't say anything more about
what kinds of things did the people that you talked to hear in their
they
mind?
have conversations with Bigfoot and actually and have these interactions, and it becomes there's a line between the habituation where people interact and gift Bigfoot and have these physical interactions with Bigfoot, but then there's another line that you come to the mind speak kind of thing where you interact with Bigfoot on a different level.
Yeah.
Which again, I've never experienced, but I find it phenomenal, the people that have.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready for that. Let's talk to Bigfoot. I want to know all the things. Yeah. Well, I've had the sensation that I could feel that Bigfoot were around, but it wasn't in my conscious knowledge yet that to think about even trying to do something like that. Like I didn't know that was a thing yet, but now
you know.
Well, here's a question. This is actually something I'm not sure of. So I know that, obviously with paranormal investigation, mediums are like one of the big things now. Like you have your scientific paranormal investigators, and then a lot of times a medium will work independently, and then they'll see if they can correlate information. Is that something that's also being done with Bigfoot research?
No, everybody's against each other. I don't know if that's how it is in the paranormal field, but it
happens in a lot of things. Yeah,
it happens with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the biological people are in one camp. The woo people or the non-biological people are in a different camp, and unfortunately, that's the problem that we face when it comes to Bigfoot research, is because we don't have this sense of relationships that we can make, a scientific discovery or some sort of discovery. Everybody's against each other, trying to fight each other. Oh, it's like this and it's like this, or it's like this way or the highway. And no, it's not. It could be, there's so many, it's just a shame that, for me, you can't explain an unknown with another unknown.
Yeah.
I just don't find that, and people that explain Bigfoot with interdimensional stuff or stuff that we can't explain, to me, is just meaning that we just haven't found the right answer yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be really interesting to do an investigation where you had, where it was like being videotaped, but you had the medium, working separately, but you could have that, see if that information correlates, just like in a paranormal investigation. Like if the medium is like, man, I don't know, like I'm feeling like we have, a Bigfoot here. And then maybe 15 minutes later, a rock gets thrown at the investigator, the scientific investigator, same way they do with paranormal investigations.
Yeah.
I think could be pretty interesting. And, because the way I look at it is, and even when I tell, the scientific people, I mean, first off, like I'm a historian, like, so I'm not so far out there that I'm like, out in the middle of nowhere. Like I've realized you have to have evidence to back up the things you're saying. Part of the problem is for the woo stuff is getting the evidence and for people to be able to work with them to get that evidence. But like, I was thinking like, for example, you could have it kind of separated where they're not working together at the same time, but they're in the same place, maybe going into different areas. And another, because one thing we have to remember is that the FBI is using mediums to bust fentanyl rings. Your local state cops have mediums working for them right now trying to find murder suspects.
The CIA has been trying to have psychics like get information about the Russians for forever.
Yeah. But like we know personally, me and you know personally about the police and the FBI and the fentanyl rings. And so like if we have very like, what we would consider to be reputable government agencies using that stuff, then why wouldn't UFO investigators, and why wouldn't paranormal investigators, and why wouldn't Bigfoot researchers, I don't know, just where I'm coming out with it. It could be interesting.
I think we should use every available research that we have. I mean, it would be stupid not to, right?
Yeah. And
because what if this thing is different than what we know? What if it's not biological? Then we got to be able to, what if there is that what if out there? There's that 1% that it could, for me, that 1% that it could be something else. You have to leave that possibility open.
My argument, even the biological things have energy and consciousness and spirit. So
that's true too.
It's all connected to each other.
If I had to take a guess, I would say that it's biologic. I do think it's like another primate. Just my thought, especially being a historian, like I know of all these different, primates that have existed. I mean, we've gotten to the point where there's thousands that have existed at times of
humanoid,
different
primate type of things.
And what is the likelihood that just one more that was in very small numbers has survived in remote places on continents across the world? Like we talked about at the beginning, it wouldn't surprise me.
I think it would be for me, it would be more of a surprise that Bigfoot didn't exist. Than Bigfoot did exist.
Yeah.
And that says something. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty powerful statement.
Yeah.
No, I think it is. Yeah. I think it is. So
all right, friends, we're down to the last bunch of minutes here. If you have any more questions for Mike,
more questions,
please make sure you get them in the chat before we run out of time.
Yeah, and just remind everyone who's listening on your radio, wherever you're listening to us, and let us know in the comments too. Going to work, hanging out, getting laundry done, whatever you're doing, let us know when you listen to the witching hours. I listen to a lot of stuff on my way to work, like the car time is like my podcast and listening time.
I'm a laundry person.
You're walking around the house with your phone with the speaker on full blast, and I hear Preston Dennett talking as you walk by the room. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so
let us know when you're listening to us, and go ahead, Jenny. You got a question?
What is your ultimate fantasy Bigfoot experience?
I gotta say, hearing the Hendersons. I mean, if I didn't say that, I wouldn't be a Bigfoot researcher. No, I think it would be cool. You know, people ask me all the time, what would I do if I actually came across a Bigfoot, if I actually saw a Bigfoot, right? It's a very good question. I think that I would do the 3 Ps. Pee, poop, pass out. What order I would do them in is a question.
Maybe all at once.
Probably all at once. It would probably all happen at once, just be one big event. No, but seriously, I think I would like to get video proof of Bigfoot. If I could get like a hair sample, that would be cool. But what would I do with it?
Yeah,
that's a good question. I want to do what's best for preserving and protecting this species. Is that going to be releasing this evidence to the government and getting them protected and stuff like that? Is it going to be releasing this to another researcher, a scientist in the field, and seeing what they have to say about it, or am I just going to hold on to it myself?
Yeah.
Is that really what's going to help Bigfoot?
Yeah.
We don't know.
That's actually really good. Like, like if you were to find Bigfoot and you could provide conclusive proof that Bigfoot existed and you could release that information out to the media, would it be better not to?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I never really thought of that.
Other people have done such things.
It begs you to ask the question, how many people have evidence of Bigfoot that they've never shared with anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because of something else I was going to bring up, which is
Frosty, your mind is just rolling right now.
Is.
I love it.
It is.
It's always like that.
And it always happens like at the last, like the last 10 minutes of the show, I get like 50 more questions. You know, because I've heard a lot of stories about encounters with Bigfoot, people who say they have had personal encounters, like they've seen them or gotten close to them. One story where a hunter supposedly shot one was that they were taken aback by how human they were.
Yeah.
And so if you were to come face to face with Bigfoot and realize that this is a sentient being that isn't that different than a human, then I think all bets are off on how you could react and have this, maybe have like this. I mean, not that we couldn't with an animal as well, but like this kind of passionate response where you're like, I don't want people out here hunting this thing down.
Or pee poop pass out.
Yeah.
Or pee poop and pass out and call it a day. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make a psychic prediction here, Mike. And
yes,
if it ever happens, please find me and let me know. I think you're gonna have your Harry and the Henderson moment.
On top of the car?
I keep seeing you looking up at something and like being just absolutely in awe. You know, like that one moment in the movie when John Lithgow just looks up at him and there's like this beautiful connection between them. I keep seeing that with you.
Oh, Jenny.
So I think that one day it's going to happen.
I appreciate that.
So
I hope it does.
Let me know if it does. And you don't have to announce it. Yeah, just let me know.
You'll be the first one.
If you don't want the public to know because you want to keep them safe.
Yeah, I won't put it in the weird news. Yeah.
No, Frosty, I'm not telling you.
Okay.
Just Jenny.
I don't tell Frosty. Yeah. But I see it happening. So I hope it does happen.
Well, CMC said it's going to happen, but unfortunately it's going to happen in the Pacific Northwest. So
yeah.
You got to find the library connection across the other way there, Mike.
I'm telling you, I literally yesterday, just bought a new car. So I am good to go across the country.
Well, I was just getting ready to say CMC's a pilot. So maybe he just needs to come.
CMC, there you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Pick Mike up.
Well, let's just pick me up. Come on, pick me up. I'm at Newark Airport. Come on.
There you go.
No big deal.
CMC, you saw it too. I didn't even see that part. You saw it too. Okay, so that's 2 people. We've seen it, Mike. We see it happening.
It's amazing.
Yay.
Wonderful. All right, folks. Well, we are hitting up to the top of the hour. I want to thank everybody for coming in and hanging out this night. Thank you for all the wonderful questions. We had a lot in there. If you have any more, always feel free to throw them in the YouTube section or something like that, and we can see what we get there. once the video will go live to YouTube when we're done here tonight. But thank you everyone for coming by, and thank you, Mike, for coming and talking to us tonight. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and if I could just say one thing before we go, I like
100%.
I like to leave everybody with a quote. Quotes are kind of my thing. Life with the possibility of Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster is far superior to one without.
Hell yeah.
So thank you for having me.
Loch Ness. There we go. You can find Mike shadowofredeye.com, youtube.com at shadowofredeye. Go check him out. Follow him on YouTube. All those wonderful things. Uwahari Bigfoot Festival, August 29th in Denton, North Carolina. If you're in the area, somewhere around there. It's a few hours for us, but we're looking at trying to make it down there. So come hang out with all of us.
Me and Frosty and Priestess of Wonderland will all show up.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a fun time. So thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. For all you people who are listening at another time in another place, we will see you next time. And for everyone who's still hanging out here on Twitch and over on the YouTubes, we're going to go find somebody to raid tonight.
Woohoo! Who's on?
There's a lot of people. We got Black Sheep Meat on. She's right in the middle of a hype train too.
I miss Black Sheep Meat. I haven't seen her beautiful face in such a long time. Although I did watch one of her YouTube videos today, but that's not the same.
We can go raid Sheepy.
Let's go see Sheepy.
All right, guys. One last time, we're going to get ready to raid out. Tickets are on sale. If you're coming, go hit them up. There is a limited amount of the merch package. So if you want the merch package, make sure you go get one of those. And we'll talk to you guys more about it tomorrow. You're streaming, right, tomorrow, Jenny?
Finally,
we're back on Friday. We'll see you all then. Come get your readings from Medium Jenny Lee. Take care, everyone. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay.